Hey, welcome back to Chalk Talk from the Denver Pioneers. The Tyler and Doshia show rides again, talking Denver Pioneers women's hoops with the head coach of the Pioneers, Doshia Woods. My name is Tyler Maun. Doshia, it's so good to see you. I know it's a big week for you. Kansas City Chiefs fan. We'll talk about that a little bit. How are you?
Why'd you get all low when you say that part? Hi, Tyler. I'm doing great.
I was gonna text you last week when we were in Kansas City 2 weeks ago, whenever that was, the day of the AFC Championship game, and say, you know, your people out here are rocking your gear out here with all of the Chiefs apparel in our hotel. But I didn't want to tell you that I was cheering for the Bengals, and you know, it was a whole thing. So I didn't. But I'm happy. You know, I'll be happy for you. I can't. You know, I'm not going to be happy for another AFC West team, but I'm happy for you.
Yeah, being a lifelong Chiefs fan, I just feel like it's been nice to be spoiled these last 4 years, because sitting through all those years in high school, we're like, are we going to win a playoff game? So, but yes, we can talk about them in depth later. But I was jealous that you were there in Kansas City, and I was not.
We were there until that morning, the AFC Championship game, which was the weekend that the Denver Pioneers kicked off a 3-game winning streak against Kansas City. You had Kansas City at home. This was January 28th, your first of 3 straight wins, the last 2 of those coming on the road. It's been a really good stretch for your team as we arrive at this point, kicking off the month of February. You got an overall mark of 10-14, but 6-7 in league play after a really tough non-conference schedule. This has been a really impressive role. How've the last couple of weeks felt as your team continues to round into form going down this final month of the season?
You know, I think, it's nice to have this stretch right now, because we went through a hard stretch. We lost. And honestly, I've been so focused on one game at a time. Each game we talk about being 1-0, 1-0, that I honestly didn't know we lost 6 in a row. I had to ask Depth. I was like, we lost 6, just because, when you're going through a stretch like that with such a young team, you're trying to find all these reasons and ways to be positive. And I think that's what we did a great job of as a staff, as though we weren't winning, we were still doing a lot of things well. And we just kept talking about, let's just keep putting this puzzle together. We are taking care of the ball. Let's add rebounding. Let's add getting our shots up. And I think we were able to do that. So now this 3-game streak is reflected of that. And you're right. We started out non-conference with a tough schedule. We knew it was going to be tough with 6 freshmen. And, we've been without JoJo the last couple of weeks, but when she went out, she was our second lead scorer, third lead rebounder. And those freshmen worked themselves into the rotation. And, you can teach a lot of things, but you can't teach experience. And they're able to get that. And I think that was reflected. We were talking after our last win at St. Thomas that we've had 9 different players lead us in scoring this year. And at some point, all 5 of the freshmen as well. So we're really proud of just the progress that we're able to make. But to enjoy this stretch, we had to go through a tough stretch, but this definitely makes it a lot sweeter.
This is the most pivotal time of year. And I guess you could probably say that about every time of year in some form or another. But February is always huge. Conference tournament coming up the first weekend in March. To be getting into a stage now where, like you said, you start 3-1 in the conference, go on the slide. And now looking at the Summit League standings, what's crazy is you're right now sitting in that 7th spot, but you're 2 wins back of like 3rd place in the league, 4th place in the league. So everybody is so tightly packed. How important is momentum at this time of year, especially as a young team continues to grow? By February, freshmen aren't freshmen anymore, and they've played really well. To be playing the type of basketball you are at this stage, how important has that been for your group?
It's so important. You said once it hits February, I use a line that my coach used all the time. As soon as Christmas break was over, you're not a freshman anymore. And we actually had that conversation and that talk. And fortunately for them, a lot of them have different type of experience and sense of they haven't had to just sit and watch. I give Angelina Robles and Madeline Atkins just a lot of credit. They started out, and I don't think either one of them played our first game of the year. And now Madeline is starting for us. Angie had a big game for us off the bench, 19 points in a career high. So this time of year is really important. And when we talked about our team goals at the beginning, the first thing that we said, we want to be playing our best basketball in March. So that's always been our focus, has always been something that we've tried to get better at, and knowing that I've been in the type of conference that we are, that if we can make some noise in a conference tournament, that's where we want to be in a sense of playing our best basketball in March. In terms of the conference being like it is, just the 1-2 game separation, I said, and no one really wanted to hear me, but it's going to be South Dakota State and the rest of us. And that's literally how the conference standings looks. They've done a great job winning NIT last year, bringing everybody back. And, that gave our young kids a lot of confidence too, that we got it within 5 in the fourth quarter, playing them at home. We still have to go up to their place. But I think to be able to play a team like that with maybe 2 or 3 fifth-year kids on it. So we're doing a lot of great things, and I'm happy for the team that is starting to reflect that in terms of our wins and losses.
It really is pretty wild how on both the women's and the men's side, there's that front running team and everybody else right behind him, and everybody else is kind of beating up on each other. On the men's side,
Yes.
Satora Roberts. On the women's side of South Dakota State. When you have so much pressure among those 9 teams, you obviously want to be able to go to Brookings and get a win, do something like that. But knowing where you are and how pivotal all of these games are, is there a different sort of energy in the locker room prior to games, realizing like, hey, there is no sort of game that you can kind of take off. There is no last place team in the conference. We can pencil this one in. Everybody is right there in the hunt.
Yes, we talk about there's really no pad game. The pad game is this game, I can pad my stats because they're not very good. We don't have a pad team really in our conference. And, even say South Dakota State's at top where in the past there had been like 20, 30-point wins. And, we played them close, or Roberts played them close. North Dakota State played. So there's been teams that played them close. So I think even them being at the top, but it does help you in the locker room in the sense of that you're focused, a little bit more focused in practice, a little bit more focused in the games because you feel like you really have a chance to compete. And I think what makes our team so different maybe than some of the other teams is we have Emma Smith who's leading us in scoring, but maybe 12 points a game. And any given night, we have 3 to 4 people in double figures. And obviously, we like to shoot a lot of threes, but St. Thomas did a great job of running us off the 3-point line. We only got up 13 threes, which I know Dubs wasn't too happy about that. But just the balance of what we have, Angelina comes in, is able to get to the basket, finish at the rim, get to the free throw line. So I like that balance that we're starting to find with our team, that people think, oh, you guys just want to shoot threes. Both Michaela's, Minute and Brandon, have had big games for us in terms of the post. And I talked about Kinsey Jones earlier. So we really have a few different styles that we can play. And that's what's helpful too in conference play, that you might be able to shut something down, but everyone has really done a great job of developing their game. And I give my assistants a lot of credit. We switched up practice. We went to that, 6-game kind of losing skid. We switched up what we're doing in practice, got a lot more skill work, individual work, position work. And so all 3 of our assistants really do a great job of keeping our kids, trying to help them keep their confidence up, but really putting them in positions to be successful just with their skill work.
This 3-game winning streak coming against 3 teams you've now achieved season sweeps over, with Kansas City, the first one of this streak, your alma mater, Western Illinois, and now St. Thomas. And you get to go into this weekend, and you got a couple of big dates coming up this weekend. I want to ask you first about Saturday. North Dakota State is senior day, and you've got 5 seniors who talk so much about the youth of your team, but the experience on your team and the veteran presence on your team has been really helpful as well, especially by this point of the year with how much the older players bring along the younger players. What does this senior class stand out most to you for as you come down to the final handful of games in their college careers?
We talked about this year's team being Team 25, the 25th team in Division I history here at DU, and they've taken a lot of pride in that. I think I'll start with Ali and Brando, recruiting them. We told them, like, we're going to have a young team. This is what we're looking for in terms of your leadership and just obviously their skill set. They brought something that could help us compete and win ball games. But I've been most impressed with their leadership, especially as you mentioned, just having such a young team. I feel like part of Angie's success is because Ali has been a tremendous leader to her, tremendous mentor, day in and day out in practice, hard days, tough days, and the last few weeks, Aunt's had some, we call Angie, and she's had some great practices as well. And I give Ali a lot of credit for that. Brando is definitely our glue. I think it's clear when she's playing well, we're playing well, especially if she's not in foul trouble. But for her ability to just kind of play for 40 minutes, both sides of the ball, I'm going to miss, both of them. I really wish we had another year with them. This was kind of that COVID year. They had successful 4-year careers at their previous school, but I've been really impressed in this short time, just in terms of grad transfers. You don't get to know them like you do other kids, especially high school kids or 4-year kids. Kay was one that transferred to us from Howard. Our relationship's a little different. I had a chance to recruit her prior to getting into DU, and so I'll keep saying it. I think for how far she's come, probably one of the happiest days for me since being here at DU will be when she walks across the stage. to earn her degree. I think to just know how much she's been through, how far she's come. And there was definitely a time I didn't think she was going to make it because I don't know if I had the patience for her to make it. And I give Dubs a lot of credit for that, of just been able to help her keep her head on straight and help me keep my head on straight. And I've been really proud of just how she's been the anchor for us defensively. Good luck kind of trying to get in the paint, scoring on her if you want. And just her maturity, she's really matured this year. I think with Simba's one that played a lot my first year here. Then obviously had an injury and took her some time to bounce back. But I think one thing that I really respect about Simba is just her resilience that, keeps showing up, and she keeps, trying, even when we don't have the best of days, or when things get hard, she keeps wanting it to be different. And that's why she keeps showing up. Lastly, but Sophia, Sophia, she's one, I got the job like July 2020. I think she tore ACL like 2 days later. So I've never coached her, but I'm really thankful that she had SAC as a big part of her career here at DU, that this year she's SAC president. She was a representative before. And, despite the obstacles in terms of her knee, she's shown up and really crushes it both in the weight room and rehab. But I think Sophia, her leadership, just in terms of what she's been able to do for the athletic department with SAC, will be the most memorable.
The stretch run of the season is going to be the culmination of your home schedule, which is kind of crazy. The February road portion of this slate for you guys is very considerable because you are home this weekend and then you're on the road for the rest of the season, whether it's regular season and postseason play. But one thing that's really cool is coming up this weekend, you get a chance to wrap up this slate of really special games you've had this year. You had the Pride game, the Play for K Pink game, National Girls and Women in Sports Day, Unity game is coming up on Thursday. And then Senior Day on Saturday. What has that meant to be able to celebrate so many different things, different accomplishments, different entities and aspects in the world of sports over the course of this season?
I think anytime that we can use our platform, especially for something positive, that's what we try to do. I think there's so many different causes, and we'll be in a position where we can kind of expand that in the future. But I think not necessarily causes, but just bringing awareness, as you mentioned, some of the ones before, whether it's Play for K, whether it's the We Back Pat game, obviously our Pride game. And then this one, we like to host this Unity game in February, with it being Black History Month. I think here at DU, there's been a few other kind of just, there's a Martin Luther King and actually that day when we had a makeup game, I went literally after the game to finish up some programming across campus. So I like being in a position to just use our platform for that. I think it gives us a chance to kind of shed light on just organizations that we have here on campus. We meet our athletic DI committee that consists of myself, Lynn Coots, Cindy Nagai, and Bob Willis. We really try to talk about what's going to be important and impactful for not only our student athletes and our staff. And I think hosting these types of games, it really, ultimately, you want everybody to feel like that they are included at your games, that they're welcomed at your games, and however they identify. And then really that as much as we want sports to just be sports, it's always bigger than basketball. It's always bigger than the sport you're playing. And I'm fortunate to be in a position to obviously it's comfortable for me to talk about these things because a lot of things that I identify with. But I will say real quick for our team too, they've done a great job during Black History Month. Our first year we did Seeking Grace, which was early Black DU grads between 1900 and 1940s here. Last year we did a page out of a book called A Black Woman Did That. And then this year, the project won't be done for our game on Thursday, but we'll post it on our social media later. But Black 5, which was semi-pro Black both men and women, semi-pro basketball team, mostly on the East Coast. So, but in our research, there's about 7 women's teams. So they're going to research one of the women's teams and kind of present that. And I've been able to bring that. I think so many times you hear the same names and the same things repeated. And the history, of course, is every other day, right? Every other day, not just in the month of February, but to be able to kind of learn with the team as we're learning. I had a meeting with someone across campus in our DI department, and I was telling her just how diverse our team is, just obviously, whether you want to look at skin color, just in thoughts, things like that. Even Shira joining us being Jewish, and that's been fun to just kind of learn. She's kosher and to kind of learn about her religion. So she's going to do Life 4.0 for us on it in the spring. So we're really fortunate just in women's basketball to have so much diversity on our team and to be in a position to just kind of bring that to light during these games as well.
It's really amazing stuff. And of course, you can follow on social media the Denver Women's Hoops program for all of that, the projects and the outreach and all that stuff and more. And Dosha, we're down to these final 5 games now of this season, as wild as that is to think about. To be coming home, have this final home weekend, and get a chance to continue this good role. What are the things that you sort of want to see continue to progress, and what are the next steps you want to see your team take as you get set? We're less than a month out now from the Summit League tournament. You got a chance to keep pushing your way up the standings. What are those next steps as you get this weekend kicked off, coming up on Thursday, first against North Dakota, and then Saturday against North Dakota State?
I think first, I think North Dakota is maybe second in the conference and still, so us taking care of the ball is going to be really important. They're not a team that you want to just give easy possessions or extra possessions to. So I really have a lot of respect for what they like to do defensively. And then if Casey's not leading the conference, their point guard and scoring, she's at least top 2, top 3. So to really try to make her work for whatever she's going to get. But I think ultimately taking care of the ball, we've done well when we had a chance to take care of the ball and get extra shots at the basket, because oftentimes that extra shot's going to be a 3. So we can take care of the ball. And then I think against North Dakota State, they're so long, and I think we struggled in terms of at their place. We've worked a lot since then to be able to do a little bit more off the bounce and a little bit more like penetrate and kick. We call them dominoes. If you penetrate and kick and share the ball. So I think in that game, it's really just, it might be similar in terms of taking care of the ball, but really offensively watching our spacing. And then both games, our transition defense, I love playing at home. No one else really plays in this altitude. So I like seeing teams that try to keep up with us. And that's something that both of those teams did well at their place. So we're hoping that they have to keep up with us. We don't have to keep up with them in transition.
All right. Final point. Super Bowl
I know you were
Sunday.
trying to skip it, and I was not going to let you skip it. I was sitting here waiting, thinking he was going to try to
He's
just
not wrapping this thing
right
up
over
before
it. Nope. No, sir. Not this time.
All right. So, lifelong Kansas City Chiefs fan. I think it's a fantastic matchup this weekend. Not just from, the standpoint of being somebody who's a Broncos fan and grew up here and born and raised and all that. It's very depressing, obviously, to say. When we were in Kansas
Hey, you're
City,
getting a good coach, though.
I know that is true. That is true.
So I'm a bit nervous about that.
There was a guy who worked at the hotel in Kansas City, and he said to me, and I said this on our broadcast from Kansas City, I said, if you're a Broncos fan, turn the radio down for the next 10 seconds. He said to me, oh yeah, I've been to the last 5 AFC championship games. And I was just like, man, talk about being spoiled to be able to just go as a fan, to be able to go to 5 straight AFC championship games. But I know your confidence sky high in your team. The thing that's problematic about the Chiefs for me is Patrick Mahomes is so likable. I'm not okay with loving a guy who's on a rival team in my own team's division, but he's just such a lovable dude. Give me the rundown for this weekend for Sunday. What's your plan? You guys get to be at home, which is nice. You don't have to hustle back from the airport to throw a Super Bowl party or anything like that. But what's the take? What's the final score? Let's hear it.
I don't honestly care what the final score is as long as we have more points than them. So that's the first one, right? When people get we can't gamble anyway. So I don't really have, I can't do numbers like that. There's no point
picking a spread. That's true.
But yes, but no. Well, I'm telling you, I'm not a superstitious person, but I kind of am. So I have my Patrick Mahomes jersey, and everybody that came over last week for the game or 2 weeks ago. So you guys can come over. We took pictures. You have to wear the same thing. So it was Coach Miles came over, obviously Dubs was there, and then Maria and Jackie, my friends that live here as well. Tell me why I hung my jersey up, hung my jeans up, even my socks. Everything is hanging on there because I'm going to wear the exact same thing.
You haven't washed it, I assume.
No,
you can't wash the good luck out of it, obviously. Right.
I mean, because it was clearly the reason why we won, right?
Right, absolutely.
And now Madeline Atkins, she did ask, she's like, Coach, what are we doing for the Super Bowl? And I was like, so she said, if we get a sweep this weekend, can we come over to the party? I'm like, we can pivot and make those plans real quick. So right now it'd be the same little appetizers, same group. We get the sweep. It will definitely be a team party, but I like watching the Chiefs just because I have to check some people at home. We're just fans. There's no way we want we want to win more than they want to win. Everybody takes it so personal when you're one of those fans. Now we do have Ali Har, who is from Ohio. So I'm going to type, I like to cheer for my team. I don't do well. I can't talk about the Broncos. That's not my team.
Right,
I don't care. So I was not going to say anything at practice because is a diehard, but we get in practice. And then she says, I'm going to cheer for the Eagles. So I had to play Red Kingdom, Tech Nine on blast on the speaker but no, I'm excited. It definitely has like been my, Sunday mindless, don't have to think about basketball. Just give me this minute. And I know we're depleted, but it's the Super Bowl. And we mentioned Black history earlier. It is the first time two Black quarterbacks face each other in the Super Bowl. So that's going to be kind of cool. Obviously, you know which one I want to win.
I do.
And then Andy Reid facing the Eagles again. So all these storylines within a
Pretty cool
storyline.
storyline. Yeah.
And since your
really
team isn't playing, you have to pick one. I'm putting you on the spot.
I know. All right, here's my thing. So I was cheering for the Bengals, and we had this conversation last year. I was cheering for the Bengals because Bengals head coach Zach Taylor, I went to college with.
Yes.
And I say that like I didn't know Zach Taylor. We were at the same like 25,000 student school, but still, I'm like, oh, we're old college buddies. So I was cheering for the Bengals. I cannot bring myself to cheer for Philadelphia sports fans. So I'm with you. I'll be with you on Sunday. I'll be going for you on Sunday.
Y'all
I'm
heard it
for a
here
good
first.
day for Doshia Woods. I can't say I'm cheering for the Kansas City Chiefs, but I'm cheering for you to be happy at the end of the day. Well, I'll frame it that way so I can live with myself.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. And if everything goes as planned, I have a Patrick Mahomes kind of plaque up in my basement. It's like a little like shimmy shack. So I'm gonna make sure I take my picture in my jersey by that plaque that will be posted.
Okay.
So I'm already plot my celebration.
I thought you were going to say you have like a life-size cardboard cutout and you're going to bring it to practice the next day.
Don't give me any ideas. I might.
Just put your arm
Just-
around it.
just like-
Everybody walks in like, did you guys see this dude last night? It was a fun one.
Okay, I will say, not for the game, but if we win the Super Bowl, I mean, I might have to wear my jersey to practice.
Yeah,
or,
I think you'd be very justified. Like there,
Okay.
it's not nobody's going to be able to dunk on you for it. It's yeah, you're the last one standing at the end of the season. It's we all have to just accept that in this awful football era in Denver that we are currently inhabiting. We'll see.
But I will say, I do like Sean Payton all my time in New Orleans. And so that was like, man, get somebody else that like him now.
Yeah.
That I like him. Like you like me, and you're
Right.
not really going to cheer for the Chiefs. I like him.
You can pull for Sean Payton. All right, that works. That works. Well, coming up this weekend, the Denver Pioneers at home. North Dakota, 6:00 on Thursday. The Unity game, you can get your tickets at denverpioneers.com. North Dakota State game a little bit earlier. The alumni game, senior day, 1:00 on Saturday. The head coach of the Pioneers, Doshia Woods. The Doshia and Tyler show is always one of my favorite things of every month. And enjoy Sunday. Try not to be too stressed about it. But more than that, enjoy Thursday and Saturday.
Yes, and if you are planning on coming on Saturday, please stay after. We'll definitely recognize our senior and do our activities then. So they have done a lot of great things this year. So I'm excited for just to recognize them on Saturday.
3 straight wins for the Pios and 2 home games coming up this weekend. Doshia, good luck.
Thank you. Go Pios.
Wrapping up this edition of Chalk Talk. We'll talk next time for the Denver Pioneers.